What's up, everybody? I'm Kirk, and this is the State of the Boom, a monthly recap of FPS news, releases, and a look at upcoming titles. And in this episode, we have a cringeworthy AI scandal from one of the kings of controversy, some great news involving id Software, an update on the Marathon scandal, a new spin-off in the Dusk universe, as well as a delay for a big upcoming remaster. Real quick though, I am getting over being sick, so if I sound a little stuffy in parts of this video, that's why. It's also why this boom came a little later than I would have liked. Apologies for that. Alrighty, enough of that, let's get cracking. Unfortunately, we have to start this boom with the passing of yet another gaming legend. Vince Zampella, known for co-creating the Call of Duty franchise and co-founding Respawn Entertainment, was killed in a car crash in Los Angeles on December 21st. He was 55 years old. The loss is shocking and horrible to say the least. Zampella was a titan of the gaming industry. In 2002, he co-founded Infinity Ward alongside Jason West and Grant Collier, which would usher in the Call of Duty mega franchise. After releasing the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, he, alongside Jason West, were fired from Infinity Ward by parent company Activision, shortly before they were to receive $36 million in bonuses. The incident led to a lengthy wrongful termination lawsuit against Activision that resulted in the company settling with Zampella and West out of court. During this time, Zampella and West would found Respawn Entertainment, with much of the Infinity Ward team joining them. At Respawn, Zampella oversaw the development of the Titanfall franchise, with Titanfall 2 becoming a cult classic and leading to its successful spin-off Apex Legends. Respawn would also develop Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and its sequel Jedi Survivor, both considered some of the finest Star Wars gaming titles in recent years. In 2021, Zampella was put in charge of the Battlefield franchise, overseeing the successful launch of the recent Battlefield 6. For me though, when I think of Vince Zampella, my thoughts go straight to the 2002 classic Medal of Honor Allied Assault, the World War II shooter that was the spark for the Call of Duty franchise. Zampella was the lead designer of the game at 2015 Incorporated and would co-found Infinity Ward shortly after its completion. Allied Assault was one of the formative titles of my younger years. I still remember playing it with my dad, huddled up in the family office, trading off after every death, with him explaining a lot of the World War II history to me that was loosely represented. And we both played Call of Duty together when it eventually came out, as well as Call of Duty 2. While I admittedly don't have the highest opinion of the Call of Duty franchise today, it doesn't change how special those early titles were to me and many others. Not only did Vince Zampella make gaming what it is today, he's also someone that provided me a lot of great memories in my youth, and for that I will always be thankful to him. He touched a lot of lives. Truly a great loss. Rest in peace, Vince Zampella, and thank you. This last month saw the 3.5-hour-long live stream of the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 celebration hosted by Jeff Keighley, also known as the 2025 Game Awards, where Half-Life 3 was not announced, by the way.
Mon ami, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33!
While Sandfall's legendary RPG mopped up awards in nearly every category it was nominated for, there was a win for a notable first-person shooter, as Doom the Dark Ages won for innovation in accessibility. Okay, kidding aside, it's a well-deserved win. Dark Ages custom difficulty was a fantastic feature that I'm sure we'll see included in Doom games to come, and perhaps other shooters in the future. I was rooting for Dark Ages to win Best Action Title, but Hades 2 was a tough one to beat. However, I am actually using this Game Awards win as a cheeky way to get into some id Software news that matters a lot more. On December 12th, a day after the Game Awards stream, id Software and its 165 employees announced that they had unionized through the Communications Workers of America. This has id Software joining other Microsoft-owned companies that have unionized in recent years, like Bethesda, Blizzard, and Raven Software. This gives id Software a stronger position to secure benefits for its employees, better compensation, better conditions, and push back on unilateral decisions such as layoffs and return to office mandates, as well as protections from AI implementation. Yeah, that's a big one. This is a wall-to-wall union, meaning every developer at id who is not a manager, engineer to artist, is covered. Quoting id Software producer Andrew Willis, "It is incredibly important that all developers across the industry unite to push back on all unilateral workplace changes that are being handed down from industry executives. The union is a way for us, the developers, to take back control of the industry we love and to ensure that it delivers high-quality products from high-quality workers, who have health benefits and longevity beyond quarterly profits." This is great news, especially since it comes mere months after Microsoft's mass layoffs in its gaming sector, which led to studio closures and game cancellations. Anything to protect id from the AI-driven greed of their parent company is a huge win. And seeing as the developer is in top form these days, they absolutely deserve some protection to keep producing fun, beautiful, and technically marvelous titles. Hopefully more storied studios such as them will follow their example. A big congrats to id Software.
UMax might have copper wiring to reroute your fear of pain, but I've got nerves of steel.
Aspyr announced that its upcoming Deus Ex Remastered has been delayed to a yet announced date. It was originally slated to launch on February 5th, 2026. Aspyr stated, quote, "We've listened to what you've had to say, and in order to better meet fan expectations and deliver the best possible experience for players, Deus Ex Remastered will no longer launch on February 5th. They also said that existing pre-orders for the remaster will be fully refunded." So, this does not come as a surprise to me, and honestly, it's a relief. I covered the announcement of Deus Ex Remastered in a previous boom, and was not shy about pointing out how rough it looked. And I wasn't alone, as the internet hordes of Deus Ex fans were quick to lambast its quote-unquote graphical enhancements, tearing apart its plastic-looking models and textures. While Aspyr did not detail what they are going to improve, the obvious guess is that it's a complete graphical overhaul, especially with the indefinite delay and pre-order refunds. Redoing the graphics is not something you can accomplish in a few months, although there could be a number of things going on behind the scenes that could be factoring in. I would love to find out someday. Overall though, while this will be easy for people to dog on, I have to stress, this is a good decision on Aspyr's part. I'm in that camp that largely sees delays as a good thing, especially when it's done to get the game better, to get it right. Deus Ex is an important landmark title, and you want its remaster to nail it, especially since the franchise has been dormant for some time. So to Aspyr, I say take your time and get it absolutely right. Most of us are happy to be patient for a quality sprucing up of this classic. And in the meantime, we'll just play the original with mods.
You have another rook. Oh, stop that. No. Sorry.
We had an update on the marathon plagiarism scandal, oh boy, which seems to have been put to rest, although is unlikely to be forgotten. If you need a reminder, back in May, around the time the Marathon Alpha was put out, an artist going by the name Anti-Real claimed her work was being used in the game without her permission. And this wasn't a case of them taking inspiration from her. No, they flat out plagiarized, taking some of her poster designs and incorporating them into in-game assets. And Bungie fessed up to it, not only embarrassing the studio, but its parent company Sony. Bungie put the blame on this kerfluffle on a former employee and claimed they would go through all the assets of the game to ensure this wouldn't happen again. Why this employee felt the need to steal assets in the first place is up for speculation. This scandal, on top of the lukewarm reception of the Marathon Alpha, led to its indefinite delay from its original September release, although recently Sony confirmed the game would be releasing this upcoming March. At the beginning of last month, Anti-Real posted a simple message to her X account saying, "The Marathon art issue has been resolved with Bungie and Sony Interactive to my satisfaction." While she did not elaborate further on what this meant, many took it to mean that our girl got paid and got paid well. Towards the end of the month, there was another bit of Marathon news that might be related to all of this. It was reported by Kotaku that Marathon's lead art director, Joseph Cross, departed Bungie just months before Marathon's launch. It is currently unknown if the departure had anything to do with the plagiarism allegations, but Cross insisted the decision to leave was his. And if you ask me, if he was to be let go over the scandal, it would have happened months ago. And honestly, after the difficult development of this game and the headache of the art scandal in recent months, I wouldn't blame the guy if he just needed to get the hell out of there. Now, in regards to the current state of Marathon, Bungie did have a closed technical test for the game back in October. And while participants were restricted from talking about it by a strict NDA, the word on the leak street is that it did go better than the alpha. On December 15th, Bungie would put out a 22-minute promo doc for the game showing off its features as well as its graphical and gameplay improvements over the alpha. This was followed by the announcement that it would be releasing in March, although a specific day has yet to be revealed, and will be launching at $39.99 for the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Players and journalists had a fairly positive response to the new look at the game, although there is still a healthy amount of skepticism towards it. Personally, while I don't love that Marathon is being revived as an extraction shooter, I do hope the game does well and ends up being a nice comeback story, for the sake of the Bungie employees who have put a ton of work into it. Bungie, however, is not in the best of spots. The underperformance of Destiny 2 in recent months has dragged down the profits of Sony's Game and Network Services segment, and as reported in my previous August boom, these setbacks have led to Bungie losing its independence and being absorbed into Sony as a support studio.
The city's average rating has once again reached its optimal value.
Okay, so buckle up for this one, because this has to be one of the wildest stories of last month and last year entirely. On December 3rd, Running with Scissors announced a new spin-off for their long-running Postal series, Postal Bullet Paradise, a Vampire Survivors-esque title developed by a separate studio called Goonswarm Games. Now, this would be a call for celebration for the Postal community, especially after the positive response to Postal's boomer shooter spin-off, Postal Brain Damage. But almost immediately, fans began accusing Bullet Paradise of using generative AI, pointing to the game's key art, trailer, as well as assets within its gameplay. Many Postal diehards expressed disappointment and outright disgust, with many claiming Running with Scissors was being outright scammed by Goonswarm. Part of what made this so shocking was that Running with Scissors had recently, and loudly, taken a non-generative AI stance. Goonswarm denied using AI outright, and Running with Scissors was quick to defend them, saying that no generative AI was used and posting the key art's Photoshop file, along with a speed painting video of it. However, this evidence was quickly torn apart. Many accused the speed painting of being fake, as there were strange oddities with it, and the many layers of the Photoshop file were found to exhibit evidence of AI generation. Making matters worse, Mike Jarrett, one of RWS's co-founders, took to Discord to double down defending the game in a flat-out ugly manner, with some of the community managers piling on with their own unkind words that I'll let you read for yourselves. To be fair, I don't know the full extent of these conversations and what fans were throwing at these guys. For all I know, they could have been receiving a lot of abuse and were pushed to this, but probably not the wisest way to conduct yourself and represent your company. Their defense was short-lived though, as the following day RWS announced that they were canceling the game outright. In an ex-post from the company, they would state, "We've been overwhelmed by the negative responses from our concerned Postal community. The strong feedback from them is that elements of the game are likely AI generated, and thus has caused extreme damage to our brand and our company reputation. Our trust in the development team, being Goonswarm, is broken, therefore we've killed the project." They would also issue an apology for, quote, anyone who felt insulted in the heat of the moment. It's hard to say if RWS finally came around to the evidence put forth by their community or were truly spooked by the backlash, but clearly they knew when to abandon ship despite fighting tooth and nail. Oh, but that wasn't the end of this disaster. The following day, Goonswarm would release a statement claiming that they were mistakenly accused of using AI generation, and the cancellation of the game was forcing them to shut their studio down. This naturally led to another internet dogpile. While some loudly came to the company's defense, many were not sympathetic, basically going, "Oh, boo-hoo." But the very next day would bring the real cringy capper to this tale. Goonswarm would post another statement on X apologizing for the whole incident and finally owning up to the use of AI generation. Quote, "After taking the time and conducting an internal review, we agree with your criticism. The promo art does appear to include or be influenced by AI-generated material. We collaborated with external artists for years and never saw any signs of this."
The layered PSDs always looked legitimate within our internal pipeline, which is why our initial reaction was to protect our team and defend our innocence. We understand now that your concerns were valid, and we take responsibility for not catching this earlier. Not long after that, RWS would put out another statement confirming they had cut ties with Goonswarm, expressing their disappointment and loss of trust. Oh boy, what a mess. So if all of this is to be believed, then this whole thing boils down to some contract artists that were being dishonest and trying to cover their asses, and their bosses simply didn't have the technical and artistic knowledge to call their BS. That, or they knew and were lying along with them. Smells an awful lot like good old-fashioned incompetence. It just sucks that this led to some people, who were probably doing their jobs correctly, losing them and some probably human-generated art being thrown out. I can't help but wonder though, what would have happened if, when these accusations came to light, all parties involved had kept quiet, kept cool, and took the time to thoroughly investigate instead of becoming emotional and leaping without looking? What if a few days later, RWS and Goonswarm put out a statement saying that they had found evidence of AI generation that they were unaware of, and were taking steps to dismiss those involved and would be replacing the assets? Would the community backlash have been so severe? Would Bullet Paradise still be on its way? Who knows? We can only speculate. And that's of course assuming these companies weren't lying the whole time about the AI usage. Overall, a crazy, crazy story, and I doubt the last AI controversy we'll see. Although it will likely stand as a cautionary tale of what not to do in these sorts of situations, and will likely make companies more diligent about spotting AI usage from their contractors. As for running with scissors, while they do need to repair some trust with their community, in the long run I'm sure they will get past this. Their remaster of Postal 2 is on its way and will likely restore some goodwill, assuming it's completely human-made. And I'm sure there are more wonderfully terrible games in the Postal franchise to come. To wrap up this news segment, I'm going to talk about a similar game announcement to Postal Bullet Paradise that had the polar opposite response. New Blood Interactive announced a new spin-off for their boom shoot classic Dusk, Dungeons of Dusk, taking inspiration from the 2005 mobile phone classic Doom RPG and its follow-ups Doom 2 RPG and Wolfenstein RPG, all originally developed by Fountainhead Entertainment for id Software. Like its inspirations, Dungeons of Dusk is an old-school turn-based dungeon-crawling RPG that takes place between Episode 1 and 2 of the Dusk campaign. According to New Blood, it will feature a 30-level campaign with character progression and a cast of NPCs, with familiar enemies returning along with new foes to splatter. It will also feature additional modes such as Endless Arena, Boss Rush, and a permadeath survival mode. Dungeons of Dusk is being developed by 68K Studios, which has developed similar turn-based RPG games such as Ludus Mortis and Inferno Beyond the Seventh Circle. Now, personally, this hits me so acutely in my millennial nostalgia, it's almost scary, because I have fond memories of playing Doom RPG back in high school on my old flip phone, hiding it under my desk during classes and playing while my teachers lectured. Oh, you better believe I got caught and chewed out quite a few times. And this is completely in line with New Blood's meta shtick of poking fun and celebrating very specific old-school gaming culture and history. I have never seen a company better exemplify the term, if you know, you know. But also, I love that they're paying tribute to such a specific and often forgotten piece of id Software history. Of course, Doom RPG still has its fandom today with fan-made ports for the PC, but if this gets more of the younger crowd interested in this niche slice of id history, I think that's a huge win. Dungeons of Dusk does not have a release date yet, but is set to launch in 2026 on everything: PC, Mac, Linux, DEC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and iOS Android. And New Blood has stated there will be a demo for it in the February Next Fest. Also, if you need a giggle, do yourself a favor and read over the system requirements for Dungeons of Dusk on its Steam page. And now let's take a look at last month's releases. But real quick, if you've watched this video up to this point and have been enjoying it, please consider subscribing and liking if you haven't. That sort of support is what makes this channel possible. There was a slew of titles released on December 4th. Blood Refreshed Supply started off the month being the second remaster of Blood to come from Night Dive Studios and stirring up some controversy over its higher asking price. However, while it dropped with some launch day bugs that needed fixing, many agreed it was a solid remaster, more faithful to the original due to the fixes from the original source code, and the welcome inclusion of the Marrow campaign. You can find my review for it linked in the description. 8 years after being announced, Metroid Prime 4 was finally released on Switch 1 and 2, and while it reviewed strongly, it met a mixed reaction from the fanbase. I personally found it to be good, but very flawed compared to its predecessors. My review for it is linked down in the description as well. Thief VR released on PC VR platforms as well as PSVR 2. Reviving the Thief franchise as a VR title was not on my bingo card last year, but it seems to be reviewing okay with a 70 on Metacritic and 78 on OpenCritic, with positives pointing to its immersion and level design, but knocks against its enemy AI. As far as I could tell, it's not the worst Thief game out there, but I'm hoping we get a more traditional installment in the near future. Futuristic tactical shooter Transients snuck onto Steam to a positive reception. Routine, the long-in-development sci-fi survival horror game, 13 years, finally released to a positive critical reception. Dinosaur survival game Ferocious stomped onto Steam, but unfortunately to a lukewarm reception from players, citing a lack of polish and poor AI. Cutesy Boom Shoot Robot Space Frenzy shot onto Steam on the 8th. Western roguelite Retro Volver spun its spurs on the 12th. Meat 2 Absolute Zero came to early access on the 17th. Originally produced as a homebrew title for the PSP, that's right, the PlayStation Portable, Locum Tenens received a Steam release on the 18th. Terminal Breach Final Dawn released on the 24th, where you are a sole survivor of a space station disaster. Gos Duma launched into early access on the 27th. A wild-looking game where you rush through a city to vote in an election, fighting off SWAT team members with solo cups. And Spooky Lo-Fi Terror VHS Vermin also released on the 27th. And to wrap up, let's take a look at some of the titles coming in January 2026. Oddcore releases into early access on the 7th, a retro FPS roguelite where you have 5 minutes to blast your way through enemies. Another odd one, WTF Am I Playing, gets all weird on the 8th, and as the title suggests, I'm not entirely sure what it is. Destruction abounds in Edge of Destruction, a surreal FPS that launches on the 15th. And finally, Don't Stop Girly Pop drops on the 29th, a fast-paced shooter based on girly bubble pop music. I had a fun time with the demo, and I'm looking forward to this one. And that's it for this boom. If there's any FPS news stories or releases not featured here that you care about, please be sure to share them down in the comments. Also, Happy New Year! I hope everyone had a great holiday. Thank you so much to everyone who watched my content this last year. 2025 was me getting back into the swing of things, and it meant a lot seeing a lot of you come back after my hiatus. My goal is to really step things up in 2026 and put out some of my best content, and aim for more variety and experimentation. And yes, Blacklist is coming. I'm just taking my time with it. Those videos are hard. Thank you again to all my subscribers. Cheers to 2025, and here's to hoping 2026 is amazing, as far as gaming goes. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, and smack that bell. It's a huge help for the algorithm and getting my videos seen by more people. If you want to join my Discord, the link is down below, along with my affiliate links. I'm Kirk, and thank you for watching this video. Stay safe out there.